Hi, everyone. Welcome to today's session, Understanding Your Yext Knowledge Graph. If this is the first Yext webinar you're joining, welcome. If you were with us last week and you're joining again, welcome back. Just before we introduce ourselves, I just wanted to confirm that you will be on mute for the duration of this session. But you can communicate with us throughout the webinar. If you move your mouse and look at the bottom panel of your screen, you should see a little Q&A button at the bottom with a little question mark in it. If you click on that box, it will open up a little mini window, and you will be able to submit questions to us, and myself and Martina will be monitoring those throughout the session. However, as usual, we will leave some time at the end of the session to answer any questions you may have as well. We also want to make sure this session is interactive. So we will be running a series of polls and a few knowledge checks throughout the session. So we'd love your participation in those to make it a bit more fun and engaging. And of course, this webinar is being recorded, and I'll ensure that the link will be sent to you via email as well. Okay, so all of you who registered, it should go to your email inboxes tomorrow. All right, Martina, I think you can move to the next slide, please. Thank you. So my name's Ashley. If you haven't met me on last week's webinar, great to meet you. Okay, I've been at Yext for over 6.5 years. I am based in Berlin, but originally from the UK. And I manage what we call our concierge services and training team here. So what is my role here and my responsibility? Mainly just to ensure that we're setting you up for success. We're enabling you on the tool. You know what you need to do in the tool. We're giving you all the materials and advice you need to basically set up your brand for success in digital presence. And of course, I work very closely with Martina and the rest of my team to make sure that, we're all setting you up for success, building material that's relevant to you, and you're seeing value really from the tool. Martina, over to you.
Thank you so much, Ashley. Hi, everyone. Nice to meet you. My name is Martina. I'm originally from Italy, but I'm based in London. I'm part of the training education team. So my role is all about creating content, leading session for our clients around the world in different languages. And we try to do trainings for any type of needs that you might have and to respond to your questions. So I'm working very closely with Ash to provide you all the support you need and to get the most out of Yext.
Thanks, Martina. All right, so as usual, there are 3 main objectives for today's session. So by the end of this hour, you will be able to describe the core functionality of the knowledge graph, okay? You will also be able to give best practices or examples, of best practices for structuring data in the knowledge graph, depending on the type of brand you are. And also you'll be able to know the specific process that we have for uploading data into Yext via a spreadsheet upload. This actually came as one of the feedback points from last week's survey. So we already wanted to ensure we're addressing that feedback. So thank you if you are joining again from last week and filled out the survey. Would love to get your feedback as well from today's session as well. So just as a reminder, our survey will go out. We'd love to get your feedback. Okay, so first question we have for you today, first interactive question. I'm going to find my polls because there's quite a lot of them today. We would love to know, have you used the Yext Knowledge Graph before? So you should now, oh, sorry, I've started the wrong one. Sorry, everyone. There's so many of them to choose from today. Here we go. Right. This is the correct one. Have you already used the Yext Knowledge Graph before? Question 1. Would be great to know today. Obviously, we can't speak to all of you, but this gives me and Martina a better understanding of our audience today. Have you used the Yext Knowledge Graph before? Fantastic. Okay, thank you, everyone. Let's end that poll then and share the results with you. So you can see here the majority of you have answered no. Okay, you haven't used the Yext Knowledge Graph before. Absolutely fine. We're going to really go and start with the basics of the knowledge graph Martina will do a demo later in the webinar showing you how you can basically see and organize the knowledge graph into entity types, folders, and labels. So not a problem at all. And for those of you that have already used the knowledge graph before, fantastic. Hopefully you'll be able to build on your knowledge with us today. Cool. All right, so let's go ahead then and get started. We talked about some key terms related to the knowledge graph in our last session, but we would just like to go over them again, really, just to make sure everyone has a good understanding. And of course, if you didn't join last week's session, not a problem. We're going to just go over these now with a quick recap. So what is the knowledge graph, first of all? The knowledge graph is a database that stores all of the information about your brand and serves as the foundation for the Yext platform and how you use it. So we tend to describe the knowledge graph as the core, the heart of the platform. It's where all of that information can be inputted and is available for you to view and edit. Okay. It's the information in the knowledge graph, okay, powers all of the other Yext solutions that you may have purchased. So the information, okay, in the knowledge graph will be synced to listings. It will be synced to pages if you use pages. It will be used to answer to questions if you have search, okay? And it's made up of all of these different, what we call primary data objects, which are called entities. That's a Yext language here, entity. You'll see that word when you log into Yext. And these entities represent information about your specific business or your brand. So each entity contains information stored in fields, and those entities will power the information on those of the Yext solutions. So it could be, the services that you offer. It could simply be the locations that you have, the opening times, okay? It could be also potentially frequently asked questions, right? So the two terms we're going to be focusing on today are entities and fields. Those are the building blocks of the knowledge graph, but not just of the knowledge graph, really the whole of the Yext platform. Next slide, please, Martina. So as a refresher, the goal of the Yext platform as a whole is to firstly collect your data. Yeah, it's going to collect all of that information. Okay, this is when you identify the information that potential customers, consumers need to know about your specific brand, from your locations to their hours, potentially, if you're a restaurant here, ordering options, delivery options, frequently asked questions, retail, what's the refund policy, what products do you sell in your specific store. The next one is organize. Okay, so you'll organize all of that consumer-facing information, okay, available and distributed across lots of digital channels into the knowledge graph. This will aggregate, and structure the data so that it's ready for search engines and AI to basically look for it, surface it, and display it. Leads on to the last point, deliver it. The Yext platform will deliver your created information out to the broadest network possible. So we have our publisher network, their sites, third-party directory sites such as Google, Bing, Apple, etc., Alexa as well, OpenAI, TikTok, Instagram, okay? And these ensure that your brand gives your brand the best possibility to likely always show up wherever customers are looking. So it's higher in those search results. So the goal really is to keep all of your business information in one place. So you don't need to worry about consumers accessing outdated or inconsistent information. And you also don't need to do a lot of manual updates for your specific brand information across all of these different third-party sites. Okay, you don't need to have an account with Google and then a separate account with Bing and then a separate account with Facebook and update all of this manually. It'd be a very long, never-ending task. It's all done directly and centrally within the Yext tool. So before we move on, I do have now a poll. Hopefully it will let me launch it again, because I did launch it earlier. Let's see. Sorry everyone, I mixed up the first poll. We can't relaunch that poll. Oh no, I can. Relaunch poll. Yes. So there we go. this is also the wrong one, I think. This is the wrong question. Anyway, I'm going to leave it here. Let's do this. Okay. Why is it important to structure data
It's
in the
correct,
knowledge
Ash.
graph?
It's correct.
Is
It's
it correct?
correct. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
So
yeah.
I'm getting so confused with all these polls today.
Yeah,
Sorry,
there are too many.
everyone. It's correct. So why is it important to structure data in the knowledge graph? Is it to improve data processing on listings and pages, to make information easier for search engines and AI to understand, or is it to reduce storage usage on the Yext platform? It's our first knowledge track question of today. See those of you who have voted already. Okay, let's end that poll then and share the results of our first quiz of today. So let's have a look then at the correct answer. So the correct answer is what 40% of you clicked on, is to make information easier for search engines and AI to understand. Now I can see the majority of you actually, answered with the other option, to improve data processing on listings and pages. Okay. The actual data in Yext and how much you fill out doesn't actually improve the syncage to listings. That's related to other factors. Okay. So although there are requirements needed to help sync listings between Yext and those third-party sites, the amount of data you add there isn't the most required option here. But the correct answer is it's important to structure it so that search engines and AI search engines as well are able to understand and read it. All right. So thank you everyone who took part in the first quiz of today. So how then is the Yext Knowledge Graph going to help your brand do that? So data in the knowledge graph is structured to meet customers at their moment of intent. So it's critical that they be able to easily understand how to access the information they're searching for when they're about to decide basically where they're going to spend money, right? Okay. So nowadays, customer searches or customer queries come in more detailed form. They come in longer questions rather than just simple keyword searches. So let's say, for example, I want to go on holiday. Yeah, I need to look for a hotel because I'm going to go on holiday. I'm not just going to search hotels near me because I probably would have planned in advance and booked my accommodation in advance. However, before I make that choice, when I know there's a destination that I want to go to, I will have some specific needs in mind. So I could say, for example, what is the best hotel in New York that has free parking and a rooftop pool? In order for search engines to be able to work out and display a hotel as a relevant option, its data needs to be structured in a way that allows the search engine to be able to find it and then present it in those search results. So if we stay with the example of hotels, hotels need to have all appropriate fields in the knowledge graph so that potential guests know details like whether they can offer free parking, whether they do have a free pool, do they have breakfast, do they allow pets? They also need to have a field that indicates their hotel type. Okay, could be luxury, bed and breakfast, boutique, budget friendly, apartments. These details are so important nowadays and need to be included in the knowledge graph for a brand to stay relevant and competitive in search. But search engines aren't the only place that can surface data from the knowledge graph. It can be surfaced also on your brand's website. We also saw social media platforms. There are chatbots now, voice assistants, other types of customer portals, employee intranets, for example. So really, the knowledge graph is a pivotal part of all consumer search experiences, whether it's providing data to internal endpoints like your brand's website, or also then these external endpoints like the online third-party directories. So what industry then does your brand belong to? Before we explore some of the entities and fields used across different industries, we'd love to get an idea of what industries our audience are part of. Okay, so that way we can all start thinking about different fields that could apply to entities in these different industries. So we're going to launch a poll here. I would love to hear your responses just to get to know you. So who or what industry does your brand belong to? And I don't want to mess up this poll again, so I'm going to be very careful here. Here we go. This is the correct one. So what industry does your brand belong to? We've chosen some of the top industries we have in Europe, globally. Okay, Europe and globally, we're based in Europe. If your industry is not on here, sorry, there are quite a few, but yeah, we have chosen quite a few of the most popular industries that we work with, particularly as well in the UK, which this is the audience, really, the UK that we're targeting today. Fantastic. Okay, so let's end this poll and we can have a look. Honestly, these results don't surprise me at all. We work with a lot of retail companies, food services as well, and hospitality. And we actually have for today some examples for both retail and food services. So this is great. And then we've got a couple of other industries as well, not a problem. Hopefully you'll be able to learn the knowledge that we're going to mention today about retail and food services so that you can also apply it to your specific industry. So thank you everyone for taking part in this poll. So let's start with retail then, okay? As we've been discussing, yeah, all knowledge graph entities contain fields. So the fields contained in each entity depend on a number of things. One of those being particularly the entity type. So different types of entities really contain different fields because not all fields are going to be relevant for each specific industry. So if we take restaurant, for example, a restaurant is obviously going to contain fields that an entity for an insurance advisor doesn't particularly need, okay? Because insurance advisor, I don't think that they serve food or deliver food, but a restaurant might do, okay? So we're going to break down some examples of entities using, first of all, the retail industry. So a retail organization will have a location entity type for one of its stores. For that store, this retail brand will need fields like name, address, phone number, definitely their business hours, the opening times, also potentially holiday hours, particularly for bank holidays. Now, I live in Germany. On bank holidays, all shops are closed. All retail shops are closed. It just closes down. The whole country closes down. But I know from growing up in the UK, that's not the case. Yeah, they see bank holidays as a really good way to get people coming in because everyone's off. I work Monday to Friday, 9 to 6. I don't want to go shopping after I finish work. I'm going to go on a bank holiday. Can't do that in Germany, I'm afraid, but could do it in the UK. So it's so important to have correct information for hours, particularly on those bank holidays. Because if you're open with your usual hours, you need to tell customers that. Yeah. Payment options. Payment options is a big one. Yeah. Particularly, we're moving away from cash. Everything is becoming very digitalized. We've got Apple Pay, Google Pay, credit cards. What else have we got? PayPal. There's so many different things. Yeah. So it's super, super important as well that these payment options that you are accept are also directly populated. Now, if we think about particularly services that a retail business could offer, yeah, the available products within the store could be one. Also, potentially, delivery options. Do you offer home delivery? Do you offer gift cards? Do you have a loyalty program? You could, for example, add a call to action to a location page, right, with a CTA button where customers can sign up to your loyalty program. And if they do that, they get 10% off their next purchase, for example. Yeah. Could also have FAQs, yeah, common customer questions. I think the main one is, and this is just me assuming, but what is the refund policy, right? Very common question as well for the retail industry. So these would include a question and answer. And then also maybe you have events. I know Black Friday, Cyber Monday, huge things. Do you have seasonal sales? Are you open longer in the run up to the winter holidays, for the holiday period? Do you have grand openings for any new stores where you're open longer? All of these things are ways for you to really promote your brand, to basically attract and encourage as many consumers as possible. So let's move on to food services then. What do we do for food services? So the first really is a restaurant entity type. Yext does offer a restaurant entity type that has fields that a restaurant location would really need. So some of those are things like price range, menu URL, right? Reservation URL, how can they book a table? Okay. If you think about the service, do they offer delivery for a certain charge? Is it free delivery until a certain time? I mean, is the restaurant open longer, but they close and then they offer delivery after, or the other way around? If you think about FAQs, big thing nowadays, very common. What type of dietary options are there available for your food? Do you have veggie options, vegan options, halal, gluten-free? All of these things also are extremely relevant today on how people search. I'm vegetarian. I'm always looking for a restaurant with a vegetarian option. Yeah. If they don't have vegetarian options, sorry, not for me. Right. And then if you look at events, again, do they do certain events in those restaurants? Are they doing, are they trying to promote a certain new meal that they've got, a food type like tacos or something, or karaoke or something like this? Yeah, if you do that, these are another way that you can leverage the knowledge graph to really promote your brand. So really the last point here to emphasize is that when you're thinking about what fields could be relevant for your brand, you have the opportunity really to build this out as much as you can and as you wish, with as much information about your entities and your brand as much as possible, really to help search engines, third-party directories, etc., see your brand as a viable option when consumers are really searching, right? So the information in the knowledge graph is powering all the other Yext solutions that you can see here on the screen. So it's super important to have as much relevant information as possible to get the most out of the other Yext solutions that you may potentially be using. And there, Martina, I'll hand over to you for a demo.
Thank you so much, Ash. It's now time for our live demo. We will keep launching some knowledge quiz knowledge check during our live demo. And just so you know, this is a training account, so the information here, of course, are different compared to the one you might see in your dashboard. And once you log in, this is the way you see your homepage. And what you see here are all the solution that we have in the Yext platform. And just so you know, of course, you will be seeing only the one you purchase. So that's the reason why I was mentioning this is a training account. So we have all the information here. So starting from the knowledge graph and clicking on entities, this is what you see. And you have a general overview of all the data you power in the knowledge graph. So Ashley mentioned previously, you have all the entities, which are the primary objects. You have all the data related to your entities stored in fields, so which are pieces of information. And you can organize everything in here. Starting from here, you see the entity types. And entity types, you have different choices: ATM, education, event, location, restaurant, and many other. Scrolling down, you have folders and labels. The reason why you have folders labels is to organize your data accurately, and they've been created for you to be more organized. Folders, you can have your folder organized in, for example, regions, macro area, or cities, countries. Let's take a concrete example. If you are in the retail industry, which is the case today, and you have a multi-location in different countries, you can decide to structure your folder in countries, in cities, or in some area specifically. Labels are tags that you can apply to your entities. And keep in mind that one entity can have only one folder, but one entity can have multiple labels applied. And this is taking always the example of the retail industry. If you have new stores opening in different countries, in different regions, you will have and you will find your entity structure in the folders, but you can have the label applied for many different entities related to the new opening stores. What you see here at the top, it's the filter tab. So you have many options. Clicking on here, you can select either by name or ID. Clicking on here, you can see the entity type. So you see a list, all folders, depending on how you structure your folders, of course, and same for labels. You can also apply extra filter here, and I will show you a specific case later, how to use this filter. This is a way for you to narrow down your search every time you need to look for information. And please be aware that every time you click on the entity types on your left-hand side, let's take an example. If I click on events, you see that automatically it applies a filter here. So every time you need to filter your data, be sure that you are selecting the right one, or eventually you can click on the little cross and little X, and you can start from scratch again. Before we move on, we want to launch another knowledge check. So if you have it with you, Ash, we will ask you, which of the following could be a field within an entity? First response, website URL, AI powered chat, or Yext subscription plan. So which of the following could be a field, so a piece of information within an entity? So website URL, AI powered chat, or Yext subscription plan. I think it's time to share the results, and the correct it's number one, so website URL. Of course, this is really useful to provide your own website URL for any type of customer that want to visit your website. So I stopped sharing. Great. So moving on, let's see, and let's take a concrete example of which type of data you can populate in the knowledge graph. So clicking on this type of entity, which is a restaurant. If I click here, you see, first of all, few information. The name, of course, the type, which is restaurant, the entity ID, and when this entity was created. You have information related to your entity here in this column, and on your left-hand side, we decided to create some fields divided into some category. So in this case, you have the core information, the business details, contact, website, apps, media, and many other. It's useful for you because every time you click on these type of categories, these scroll down directly and you can get access to the right section. So starting from the beginning, the core information are the one really useful for you to create your entity. And when you see this little, hopefully it's quite clear, but this little dot in red, it means that this information is mandatory for you to create your entity. And the mandatory information is the name, the address, the category, and the entity ID. Then you have extra information like a map marker, which is where concretely your store, your restaurant, your location is located, and phone number. Scrolling down, you have other information that is really, really relevant. Ashley previously was talking about the hours and the importance of holiday hours. And this is because every time we look for information online through our publisher, which are Google, but it could be also Alexa, Siri, and ChatGPT, it's always good to provide the right response to your potential customer. And in this case, I'm in the UK, it's true, very often the shops are open, but if you are planning to close your store, please update this specific field. Payment option, we mentioned previously, the price range, in this case, meal served, because we are talking, of course, about a restaurant. And if you scroll down, you have many, many other. What I wanted to call out as well is that you can use the search bar to look for specific fields if you cannot find them. And also very useful is the publisher field here. This will allow you to understand which fields you need to fill in and which fields are required from publishers. So let's take an example. If I click on publisher fields and I select Apple and I click on apply, you will see a little tag just under the field's name where it says Apple require or Apple recommended. So we highly recommend to fill as much information as possible. This will allow you to be visible and think about Yext as a funnel where we collect the information and we spread the right information to each single publisher. So it's not something you really need to be worried about, but it's good because it's Yext that take care of it, and it's easy for you to recognize which fields are really, really relevant. And another section I wanted to show you is the one on the right-hand side. So you have a first section related to the user access, and this is when you get you decided to provide access to some of your team member, and so you can see how many users can see this specific entity. You have the schedule update section, and this is really useful when you take in the example of the opening hours. If you are making any change and this restaurant is closing at 10 instead of 9 p.m. in 1 month, you can schedule the update if you already know this specific update. The language is related to the language of this specific entity, and so how the information, in which language the information is displayed. This could be every time you have stores or location in different countries and you want to provide some localized content. Let's take an example here. You see we have the French language. So if I click on French, the page refresh, and then as you can see, there are some gray, let's say gray fields and some white one. What does that mean? Every time you see a gray field, it means that automatically this information will be translated into the language. In this case is in French. So whenever a user is looking for an information related to the payment option, and this user is based in France, instead of seeing a payment option, this user will see option de paiement. So the white one, it's different because in this case it's you to provide the translation for these specific fields. And a concrete example is the frequently asked question, where you need to add extra information. So it's you to add this information in the specific language that you decided to provide. And last one is the license. What is the license? Basically, every time you add information in the knowledge graph, this is our data center. So it's good. You start from here, and it's where you put all the fields you think they are necessary. But to provide this information to the other solution in the knowledge graph, you need to apply a license. So every entity needs the license to be applied. So in this case, if we want our entity to be displayed in a listing, so to be listed on publisher, that could be Google, Bing, Apple, and the other one, you need to assign a license to this specific entity, right? And before we move on to the next topic, let's launch our new knowledge check.
Could I just mention
Sure.
something here, first of all, Martina, before
Sure.
we do that, because I'm just conscious we've got quite a few retail brands with us today, and also this could be also relevant to some others. If you go back to the main English profile for the entity, so I just want to call out here the holiday hours, which goes back to the example or the use case that I called out earlier, particularly as well for countries like the UK. So Google, other search engines, lots of third-party sites have become a lot more intelligent over the years. And they know now when there is a specific bank holiday in a specific country. And you may have actually seen what I'm going to explain to you in a second. When that happens, okay, so let's say, for example, this coming Friday is a bank holiday in the UK. You may have looked for a business, and you may have seen a little message underneath those opening hours saying business hours may vary. That's because Google is aware that it's a bank holiday in the UK on Friday, and they know that the hours here are the core hours for Friday have been added, but are they still true? It's a bank holiday. So to really avoid that message or to prevent that message from appearing, because that could send the wrong signal to your potential customers, right? If I think about like business hours may vary, oh, I'm not sure what time it opens. Is it open at all? I'm not sure. To avoid that uncertainty, go to the holiday hours field. Martin, if you could just show them, please.
Yeah.
And then click on, you need to add the specific date. So this upcoming Friday is the 12th, yes, 12th of September. And then it gives you certain options. So if you are open, okay, as usual, let's say you're open from 6 to 9 p.m. on this example, don't just ignore it, add it proactively. Because Google is going to know, oh, interesting. Okay, they've added a holiday hour for this day from 6 to 9. Interesting. Or 6 to 8. Okay. If you could show the other options as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. The best option, I mean, I really doubt in the UK there's split hours where you open in the morning, open again in the evening. 24 hours, again, I doubt it, but also possible. Closed, obviously very common where I live on continental Europe, everything closes. But if you are open with the regular business hours, please, please add this. If you just showed Martina, exactly. That sends a signal to Google. Okay, these are the usual hours for Friday. It's a bank holiday in the UK, but the business is open as usual, and you will see that underneath the hours, business open as usual. And that prevents and takes away any type of consumer hesitation when they're
Confusion.
potentially looking at coming to visit your store.
Yeah, and correct me if I'm wrong, we can upload 100 different hours. So if you know in
Yes.
advance, it's very good
Yes.
practice to add all the holiday hours you have planned already.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. The earlier you add these, the better. Don't leave it to the last minute. Like, don't leave it for the day before or get these prepared in the system. Yeah. And Martina will do a bulk upload to show you in a second how you can do
How
this. Okay. But that's a very, very, very common question and
common.
use case we have, particularly for retail customers. So I think let's do the poll, Martina, because I know you want to show everyone how to do a bulk upload. So
Yeah,
question
the
number 5.
quiz,
Yes, the quiz. Yes.
little quiz we have, which is where can data from the knowledge graph be surfaced? Search engines, social media platforms, voice assistant devices, and all the above. So where can data from the knowledge graph can be surfaced? A few people voting. Good to see your participation. And let's share the results. And you are correct. All the above are the correct one. So good, everyone. And moving on, we wanted to show you a practice, a common practice. Every time you want to change information related to a specific field for different entities. So every time you want to make a change, you have two options. Either you do manually, so going one by one and changing the information. Taking this example we have here, you go into specific entities and you change the information manually, and you do the same for the rest of our other entities, or you can do it in bulk. And this is really important because you can save a lot of time, mainly whenever you know that you need to apply the same changes for many entities. And we will show you how to do so. So going back to our entities panel, I'm wanting to change few opening hours for four specific location. How can I do so? In my case, I want to select, first of all, the locations, and I want to add an extra filter, which is a filter related to a country. So I'm based in United Kingdom. I click on apply filter, and here I have a list of entities in the UK. Clicking on one of these entity, I'll show you now that the field related to the hours is set to 9 to 4 p.m. And I want to change this field from 9 to 4 to 9 to 5. And same, I want to do the same for this entity. Same, you see here, the hours is 9 to 4, and as well as the third one and the fourth one, that they all have the same field to be changed. What should I do? I select the location I want to change the specific field in bulk. So I select this for one, and I click on More Action, and I export the entities. And you see now that there's a process where we want to basically export the information in a spreadsheet. We highly recommend as a tip to change the format from CSV to Excel. So clicking in Edit, you can change with the little drop-down menu. You click on Excel, you save it, and this will allow you to avoid any type of error related to the comma or blank space, and you click on Continue. Here is a section where you basically provide to the system with which information you want to export and create the file. So as you can see, there are one that are already pre-selected, which is the entity ID and the Yext ID. We move forward with the address, and I don't want all this information. I only want the line 1, the city, and the postal code, for example. And in this case, I need to change the hours. So that's why I'm clicking on hours and I'm selecting continue. You'll see that now it downloaded a spreadsheet that I'm now opening, and you should be able to see it here opening. Wait, and let me zoom a bit. So as you can see, the system download a file where in the first row I have all the fields I selected right now, so which it was the entity ID, the Yext ID. You remember we decided to select some of the fields related to the address, not all of them, only line 1, city, country, postal code. And then moving forward, you see the opening hours, which are, as you can see, from 9 to 4. Remember, we want to change them from 9 to 4 to 9 to 5. Why are we going deeper into the how to format a file? This is really important because very often we receive questions from our users. They create very well done spreadsheet with colors, information, very good data, but the problem is that the Yext tool has a specific way of formatting data, and everybody needs to conform to this way of formatting data, and that's why we wanted to show you how to do so. Every time you don't really know how to format your data, we highly recommend to export the file so you can replicate, you can save directly the data in the file as we are doing at the moment. As you can see, for example, related to the holiday hours dates, the date are presented with the year first and then the month and then the date, and not the opposite. Or for example, if you look at the this is the holiday hours time, when you see this X, it's because it means it's closed. So if you create for example a file where here you have simply closed, our system is not recognizing this information, and that's why it's really important to format the data correctly. So moving forward, we wanted to change the hour, so I select from 9 to 5 and I copy this information and I apply to all the entities you see here, and then I apply to all my hours and I click on save. One thing I wanted to call out as well, please be sure that you are selecting AM and PM. This is correct because sometimes it happens that this is a common mistake. Please be sure to check every time if it's AM, PM. And then we have saved it. Now I'm going to show you how to upload this file in bulk. We go into the configuration tab. I click on configuration. You have many options. You need to go into the data file upload. Clicking here, you can upload a file on the right hand side. You click here and you see there are a few steps required to upload a file, analyze the file, find potential error, review the changes, and then make these changes available. Starting from choosing a file, I click on choose file and I choose the file that I just changed with you. I click on open and I click on continue. You'll see we're going into the next step, which is the configuration. This step is really essential, and what it does basically, it checks the information you have in your spreadsheet and the system wants to be sure that you are matching the information correctly, and this is to be sure that we are mapping all the information we need to change the fields we are changing. So in this case, you see is recognizing that there is an address city, and here, if you click on the drop down menu, you see many options. So imagine here you have I don't know, alternate names. It's the wrong one, right? It's not matching. So here is the importance of always having the right mapping. And then I click on continue. Clicking on continues, you'll see the system will analyze the file, and it can take some time, a bit longer. It depends if you are make some heavy changes with related to many location or many entities. It will load in here, and you see the percentage. So no worries if it's taking a bit of time. It's totally normal. So as you can see, 92%. And the next step, it's either the system will recognize some error, which is not the case today, but you see there's an extra step just in case the system recognizes the error, or there's this step related to review checks. And what it does, the system is asking you if what's in the upload process it's correct. So it says you are adding 0 entities, correct? It's correct. So I am acknowledging that I'm not adding any entities, and I click on next. The second step is it true that you are uploading 4 entity changes? It's correct. So I can acknowledge, and here specifically you can see what I'm changing. If I click on next, you see unchanged entity 0, because we have changed some entities. So I can click in here. And the last one is missing entities 1103, which is true. I only changed 4, so I can acknowledge, and I click on submit change. So the last one, it's the summary.
Just whilst this processes, Martina, because I think it will take a little bit of time, I'm going to just do another knowledge check quiz for everyone today related to bulk uploading.
Yeah.
So just whilst that loads, next question. So what can you do via a spreadsheet upload in Yext? Create entities in the knowledge graph, update already existing entities, create new users, or all of the above? What can you do within Yext via a spreadsheet upload? What do you think? Create entities in the knowledge graph, update already existing entities, create new users, or all of the above? And I can say thank you to everyone as firstly for voting. The correct answer is you can actually do all of those things. You can use the spreadsheet to create entities as well. That requires a template. You can update already existing entities, what Martina is doing, but you can also, if you've got loads of new users that you need to add to Yext, you can also bulk upload those as well. Thanks,
Sure.
Martina. Back to you.
Thank you so much. So here's the summary. We mentioned sometimes it can take some time, but what I recommend as well is to refresh your page, and you'll see here, you see the status is completed. So clicking on done, you'll see now that if I look for my entity that I have changed, so location, remember filter, I decided to change some entity in the United Kingdom. And if you remember, the previous hours was 9 to 4, and now it's 9 to 5. And this is applied to the rest of the list. And we are done for our demo today. So we have some time now for some Q&A.
Just before we do that, Martina, I've got one last question for everyone. Some knowledge check. Yes, no worries. Last one for today. Again, related to the spreadsheet upload. So this one really is, what are the best practices when it comes to spreadsheet uploads? Use the templates on the Help Center, export the fields first so you can see how the system formats the data, save a backup of everything before uploading the file. You can select multiple options for this one. So what are the best practices when it comes to spreadsheet uploads in Yext? Use the templates on the Help Center, export the fields first so you can see how the system formats the data, or save a backup of everything before uploading the file. Fantastic. Thanks everyone for voting. I can share with you every single one of these is correct. So if you're looking to do, for example, an upload of multiple entities and then new entities, they don't exist in your account yet, please go to the Help Center. There's a template there that needs to be filled out. Okay, so that's an example of that. The example Martina just did here is, for example, because this was a question that was raised earlier during the session, if you want to bulk update holiday hours for bank holidays, okay, for your stores, please always export the fields first, the data first from the fields that you want to upload, because you're going to see how the system formats that data. So the example that Martina gave you there was on bank holidays, the X is used instead of closed. For regular hours, there's probably another value. Okay, so if you are open as regular and you want a bulk update, you know, this coming Friday is a regularly open. Bulk up, add the regular hours first to an entity manually, export it, see how it's formatted, and then you can use that in your spreadsheet to upload it for the rest of the stores. All you need in a spreadsheet upload with Yext is the entity ID and then whatever field you're updating. You don't need to have loads and loads and loads of fields filled out. And what that will also do is, as Martina showed, is it will do the mapping automatically. Because you've exported it first, that's how the system reads the data. So it's going to give you a lot easier time to upload a spreadsheet. And then the last one really is a tip here. You know, if you are going to do a bulk upload in Yext, you've got lots of entities, just do a backup first. If you make a mistake, don't panic. You've got the backup, just re-upload that and start again. Okay, you won't need then to come to us in support. Urgent, help me, I've done this wrong. Believe me, it's happened many times. Just save a backup of everything first. That's the best way. It's the safest way. Should you obviously make a mistake, you know, mistakes happen. It will avoid all of that need to try and obviously fix something in a quick space of time or short space of time. If you don't have any questions today, that's not a problem at all. No worries. So in terms of our Platform Basics webinar sessions, we are continuing these throughout September. So today was obviously looking at your the knowledge graph. There is way more to learn with the knowledge graph, which we can do in the future. This was just the first initial introduction to the knowledge graph, and we wanted to obviously also address the feedback we got in the survey last week. So on Thursday, we're going to move on to listings. We're going to go into the listings solution and give you some tips and tricks related to listings. So if you are using the Yext listing solution, we highly recommend that you join that session. And I'm going to open up the chat now with the registration URL. So you should see the link for that, okay? And then next week on Wednesday, the 17th of September, we're going to move on to reviews. So if you're using the Yext reviews solution, I know these links are not the nicest links, but that's the webinar registration page for reviews. And then the day after on Thursday, we're going to go and look into Yext Analytics. Yext Analytics was one of the very, very highly voted options to learn about in the survey we sent. So please join this one next week. We'd love to see you on those. And then I think that's everything from us, Martina. No, I think we can end it there if there's no questions. Thank you, everyone, once again for joining this session today. We hope again that was valuable and you've learned a lot today. Thank you, Martina, as well for your demo. Really appreciate that.
Thank you.
And please, again, do fill out the survey. We really appreciate your feedback, comments. What are we doing great? What can we do differently? What do you want us to do webinars on? These are for you. Okay, we want to build new content. We want to do these on a regular basis, not just in September, but regularly on a monthly basis. So please do fill that out. Your feedback is very valuable to us. You can see our help center here. So should you have any follow-up questions after this webinar, you can go to help.yext.com and there's lots of information there, like for example, the templates that I mentioned earlier, or you can send an email to help@yext.com. That will go to our support team who'll be more than happy to assist you.
Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you, everyone. Have a wonderful rest of your day.